Sorry, New York Mets fans, you just got Jacob Young.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And yes, I'm Ryan Clary, your Nationals insider here on the Locked On Nationals podcast, where it is your team every single day. And later on in today's program, we'll have a discussion surrounding a big, brilliant plan that I think could work for the Nationals in this offseason. Some of you may like it, some of you may not. So stay tuned for that later on in the show today. In the second segment, how much stock are you putting into James Wood and CJ Abrams' second half struggles? I think there are two different stories to tell between those two guys. So we'll discuss that in the second segment of the show today. But we start off discussing the weekend series against the New York Mets, as the New York Mets just got Jacob Young. Yes, you heard that correctly. But today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Go to www.5hourenergy.com or hit Amazon today. So the Nationals win 2 of 3 in the Queens, and ultimately the New York Mets fans were sent packing home, as the New York Mets are now tied with the Cincinnati Reds for that final wild card spot. And more importantly, the Cincinnati Reds are actually winning in that tiebreaker. So the Nats did pretty well against the New York Mets, but ultimately the New York Mets just got Jacob Young. And what I say that is, this is what I mean. In yesterday's game, number one, that insane catch in the seventh inning, or bottom of the fifth rather, where he had a ball, he was going back against the wall, hits the center field wall, ball comes loose, he kicks it up with his right leg, and then continues to make the catch. One of the wildest catches that I have ever seen, and I've grown up in the era of Mike Trout. I saw the back end of careers of some defensive stud outfielders. I have never seen a ball be caught the way that Jacob Young did yesterday. And then we get to the ninth inning. 3-2 game. Jacob Young, a ball that was struck up the middle. Francisco Alvarez. Jacob Young goes back up against the wall, scales the wall, and robs the home run for what would have been the game-tying home run against the Washington Nationals. And eventually, they went on. Mitchell Parker got his first career save, and the Nationals won the game. What an incredible sequence of events for the Nationals there. And more importantly, Jacob Young. This goes to show you how much defense matters. I have always kind of been harder on Jacob Young than I think most people have. But yesterday shows you why he is our fourth outfielder. Yesterday shows you why you keep someone like him on your roster. He's not going to bring you any offensive production whatsoever at this point. We understand that. But you have him out there to play great defense and ultimately steal you wins. That is exactly what he did in yesterday's game. What Jacob Young provided was not just those few catches. He actually finally brought us joy. And again, losing to the New York Mets in just one of those games, sign me up for that any day of the week. We have always talked about September kind of being the postseason month for the Nationals. How will they respond? How will they play in some big-time environments when you have opportunities to kind of play that spoiler team? You're a bad ball club going into New York where they aspire to hopefully make the playoffs this final week, and you go in and win 2 of 3 games. In incredible fashion, by the way. That was awesome to see. So seeing the Nationals going into Queens, winning that series, sign me up for that any day of the week. Although there was this, we got to talk about Saturday. Daylen Lile. The inside the park home run heard around the world. The eventual game-winning home run in the 11th inning, his 7th of the season. Daylen Lile and the story surrounding him continues to grow, continues to have legs. Major League Baseball was talking about it. SportsCenter was talking about it on a Sunday morning with Daylen Lile. That is something that we typically do not see now. And again, people are starting to kind of come around, I think, on Daylen Lile and kind of being a national story here in town. This is a real, legit player. And with Daylen Lile in the lineup at this point, he is your Nationals offense. He is that energizer money. He is the guy giving you hard 90s. He is always putting the ball in play. And he is having great and at times just stellar at-bats that, again, is must-watch TV. And then yesterday happened. Sunday, Daylen Lile, early on in the game, crashes against the left field wall, was down on the ground. Cedric Mullins decided to take second base, by the way. Hey, got thrown out there. Not the best idea, in my opinion, from Cedi there. But that was a very scary instance. And unfortunately for us, it sounds like Daylen Lile will be okay. There are no x-rays that are needed. But when I was seeing him on the ground there, my brain was really just kind of racking at this point. I've seen it with Stone Garrett, who had his breakout campaign in 2023, that eventually broke his leg in New York against the Yankees there. It was kind of ringing that same vibe there, unfortunately. But luckily enough, Daylen Lile is fine. There's no x-rays needed. I'd be surprised if he's in the lineup the next few days here because, again, there was a pretty scary crash. I would like to give him some time off here as you face the Braves. But what we saw in yesterday's game and this past weekend was simply incredible. The Nationals, they put the Mets' backs against the wall, and they whipped up on them for a 3-game series. And again, this means a lot to me. Going into this season, we knew there wasn't going to be October baseball here. But in the month of September, when you have the opportunity to face the Mets, who are fighting and clawing their way to try to make it into October baseball, you beat them on the road in New York. And then you now go to Atlanta tonight. Both these teams out of it. And then you go to the White Sox this weekend. That was your October baseball that you just saw. The Nationals pitched well, number one. And also yesterday, wanted to take note of one thing real quick. They did this new kind of method that has kind of been taken over baseball, I think. And I think will be the new big thing moving forward. That's kind of stack pitchers. What we saw in yesterday's game was the Nationals not go to their bullpen, yet they went to Mitchell Parker. And so Mitchell Parker is going to be in the bullpen for the Nationals for the rest of this season. He will not be making another start. I'd likely see Mitchell Parker in the bullpen moving forward as well into 2026. But this is what teams are calling, actually, the tag team. This is when you have a starting pitcher, usually and typically a struggling one who only goes 4 to 5 innings pitched, kind of like Jake Irvin. Then you follow him up with another starting caliber pitcher. The New York Mets did this actually this past week, and it worked out pretty well with them with Clay Holmes and Sean Manaea. They got the win in that game as well. The Nats did that yesterday, and they only gave up 2 earned runs, and Mitchell Parker looked really good out of the bullpen, again, getting his first save of his career. I would not be surprised at all to see the Nationals use this method in a big way moving forward. In fact, if this is the exact scenario where you have Jake Irvin as your 5 starter, yet you pair him with Mitchell Parker to come in for the final 4 innings, that's a really intriguing 1-2 punch there. And if it does work out, then it works out. I do think this will be very relevant as baseball continues to kind of churn out new ways to get more pitchers out there and also save some of their arms. Number one, it saves your bullpen. We all know how just healthy your bullpen has to be down the stretch. In order to save some innings from some of these guys in crucial situations, this tag team method is kind of what people are calling it, is kind of the new way forward. And so seeing the Nationals experiment with this doesn't really feel like the old Nationals, by the way. This felt like kind of a Mike DeBartolo method here, and it worked out. This is kind of the new way forward, in my opinion. We all talked about the openers, and all of a sudden it grew like a wildfire. I think this is going to be that new opener method, where you have a starting pitcher go 4, 5, 6 innings into a game, and then you relieve him with another starting pitcher like Mitchell Parker, who technically is a bullpen arm at this point, but also has the ability to go 4, 5, 6 innings pitches if needed. That's what we saw in yesterday's game, and the Nationals only gave up 2 runs. And Mitchell Parker looked really good out of the bullpen as well. So that is something that I think we're going to have to monitor throughout this offseason. And if the Nationals do not address the starting pitching situation here in town, then I could easily see them going forward with this. And in my opinion, I think it would be a smart way forward. I think this would be a really solid thing that the Nationals have kind of unearthed, as we saw in yesterday's game, and it worked out really well to take the series win against the New York Mets. So what a series week against the New York Mets. Again, Jacob Young and the New York Mets, they don't like you, buddy. They hate you. New York Mets fans, you just got Jacob Young. Congratulations. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So how much stock are you putting into James Wood and CJ Abrams' second half struggles, as we're a final few games away from hitting 162? I'll tell you why I'm concerned about one of them, but not the other. I'll tell you that after this. And now let me tell you about our friends over at Zippix. And this episode is brought to you by Zippix toothpicks. Whether you're looking for nicotine satisfaction or an energy boost, Zippix has you covered with their nicotine and caffeine infused toothpicks. For nicotine users, Zippix provides a discreet way to satisfy cravings and the hand-to-mouth habit without vaping or smoking. Zippix can be a helpful tool as you work to reduce your dependence on vaping, and available in 6 great flavors with 2 milligram and 3 milligram nicotine options. And if you need energy without the crash, their caffeine toothpicks are a game changer. And I love the taste of Zippix. It gave me that caffeine toothpicks before big meetings. It gave me that energy. And also, it just simply tastes great. So go to zippixtoothpicks.com, use code LOCKEDONMLB or Locked On for 10% off your first order. Must be 21 or older to order. Warning, nicotine is an addictive chemical. That's zippixtoothpicks.com. Promo code Locked On. Zip more, smoke less with Zippix toothpicks. And now we tell you about our friends at 5 Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots that deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shots pack the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love most is how portable that they are. Big taste with a tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get that boost when you need it. I love the lime flavor, so I always bring it to office. And of course, what I do, I take it at lunch. I get that energy all the way through 5 p.m. and I do not even crash. You can also have the energy for even a slight workout after, and also just that bold lime flavor. I love it. So I want you to love it as well. So enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites that you love, or be bold and try something new in store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or hit Amazon today. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. If you have not done so already, look us up again, Locked On Nationals, on Apple, Spotify, and of course the video version over on YouTube. Look up Locked On Nationals and hit that subscriber button, please. Let's talk about this. There has been no hiding it. CJ Abrams and James Wood have had some second half struggles, and they have been real. And again, the Nationals have struggled as a team overall, and it has not been that pretty for the all-star duo here in town, with CJ Abrams being an all-star in 2024 and James Wood being your all-star in 2025. And let's start off with James Wood. I'm not concerned about James Wood in the second half struggles. The reason why is this. This is his first full season. He's 22 years old. The first half and the pennies that he put in the pig account there was astronomical, considering he's only 22 years old and he's already an all-star. James Wood kind of got figured out here in this first season, and that's okay. He is on pace right now to break the strikeout record. Who cares about that at this point? Guess what? Next season, that strikeout record will probably be broken by a healthy Aaron Judge or someone else out there. I'm not worried about James Wood's struggles, though, overall, and here's why. This guy has proven to be an elite hitter. He is going to be hitting 290. He's going to have a 530 slug, and he is going to crush baseballs for years here in town. He has proven that his power from all pulls is incredible at this point. I cannot sit here and say this enough. I am not worried about James Wood and his struggles here. Am I slightly concerned about the strikeouts? I guess you could say so, because again, he wasn't striking out nearly this much in the first half. He is now on pace to have the single most strikeouts in a single season. That's kind of the reality of the situation here. Although I do think James Wood might hold that off, but we'll see. But I cannot say that I am not, like, it's no worries at all, in fact. Here's where I am concerned, though. CJ Abrams. I'm not going to lie here. On a scale of 1 to 10, how worried am I about CJ Abrams and kind of his fall off in the second half? I would say I'm at like a 6 out of 10. I like to follow the numbers, and I like to follow the trends. The trends are, the past 2 seasons now, is that CJ has fallen off drastically in the second half. Looking at his numbers in the second half of games here, he's batting .224 with a .273 OBP and a .646 OPS, a .373 slug. He has 6 home runs in 56 games and 51 hits overall. At the All-Star deadline, he was batting .290 with an .836 OPS. And now you're starting to see him have solid numbers overall, but here's where it gets even more concerning. Since August 1st, CJ Abrams has 11 errors. When you play such a premium defensive position with such high offensive upside, it's kind of easy to ignore the defensive flaws here. But as we saw this weekend, and as we saw with Nasim Nunez in yesterday's game, wasn't the prettiest things overall, but defense does matter. And at some point, you're going to have to wonder with yourself, when will CJ clean up these errors? Because we are now in what? His 3rd full season in baseball here? Or really, I guess, yeah, his 3rd full season here in town. You kind of have to get things together defensively. He still has these lazy errors at times, and maybe not lazy, but just kind of bad, awful mechanics that lead to bad errors. Like at times, you see him not set his feet throwing over to first base, and he sails one over the first baseman's head. Or maybe he just kind of lazy throws one over and the runner beats it out. Like all these different things that we have seen from him, he has the talent to put it all together. But right now, mechanically speaking, he's not tuned up enough in my mind. I want my shortstop to be very good and at times elite defensively. That is where CJ Abrams' issue is right now. He is not elite defensively. And in fact, this might hinder him in kind of how the Nationals approach a possible offseason extension for him. Can you say positively right now that you would give him top shortstop money? I would give him a $200+ million deal tomorrow, in fact, but I would not give him top shortstop money. In fact, I think I have a plan. I think I have a plan to move CJ Abrams and do something else with him. Let me tell you more about that, but until then, I got to tell you guys about some of our new friends I'll tell you about after this. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. And that is why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. And I started noticing less shedding when I started using Nutrafol and a better looking, healthier hair that I think a lot of people out there and a lot of men really need to take notice of, because I love that Nutrafol is just simple to add to your day. 4 pills with a meal, no prescription needed. It's that easy. So see thicker and stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Locked On MLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code Locked On MLB. Now let me tell you guys about our friends over at Monarch Money. And we have told you all about Monarch Money. Most people cannot name all their financial accounts or even what they are worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or even some investments. And when you don't have that full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. And that is why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or even on your phone. And Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you, because Monarch already does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, and get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. You can identify that you aren't saving as much as you thought with Monarch, because they help you notice an inefficient investment allocation and discover forgotten 401ks from past jobs. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So I've got a big offseason plan for the Nationals, and I think this is going to be something that I might want to marry moving forward. So here's my plan. I think I'm ready to move CJ Abrams to second base. And I think I am ready to move off of Luis Garcia because of that reason. Here's why. CJ Abrams at this point is not good enough defensively to be a premier shortstop. CJ Abrams, if you put him over at second base, I do think that could wipe away some of his throwing errors. So that solves an issue, number one. And number two, that also allows you to bring in a solid to pretty good defensive shortstop that allows you to finally kind of have that captain of the defense. You've kind of seen the Nationals figure and put things together over the years. You have the outfield right now. It's in pretty good hands with James Wood in left, Daylen Lile in right, and Dylan Cruz in center field. Third base, you feel good about Brady House. And right now, the middle infield, that is a big hole. Catcher, that's a big hole. First base, no long-term future there either. If you move CJ Abrams over to second base, number one, that kind of brings his price down a little bit cheaper if you want to extend him. So that's number one. But number two, it just makes sense at this point. So if the Nationals were to do this, number one, you now have one of the best offensive second basemen in all of baseball at this point. That's the number one point there, with Ketel Marte being number one and Jose Altuve might being number two. But if you put Abrams there, again, power hitting second baseman, good hands there, can steal bases, one of the better second basemen in all of baseball, in my opinion, if you put Abrams over at second. And then that allows you to, number one, trade Luis Garcia Jr., who's coming off two pretty solid seasons here in DC. And some team out there might just say, hey, we can kind of put up some of the struggles defensively if he puts up the numbers offensively that he has done. So you might get a good return back. Maybe that's a pitcher. Maybe that's another prospect that's in the system. You never know what you could get for someone like that. But with 2 years left to control with Garcia, certainly kick the tires on a deal just like that. And then you bring in your veteran shortstop. And right now, the guy for me would be the Dodgers, Miguel Rojas. Number one, he can play anywhere in the infield. Number two, he is a steady, solid defensive asset for this team. And he also has pretty solid upside offensively speaking. He's 36 years old, so that does kind of hinder kind of what you want to do by breeding a star shortstop. But as of right now, you've got Eli Willits in the minors, who looks to be the real deal. He's not going to make it up in the majors in 2026. Likely won't make it up in 2027 either. So having a 36-year-old shortstop signed to a 2 to 3 year deal, sign me up for that. And maybe all it takes is a 1 year deal. Maybe all you do is guarantee him the 1 year deal. And of course, he's going to be the shortstop for the next season and things work out. But that's the kind of things that I would think about if I were the next GM here in town. If you move Abrams to second base, number one, it's totally warranted. He's not necessarily a good defensive shortstop. Move him over to second base. He becomes a premier offensive bat there. And number two, might be a lot better defensively. And you might see him kind of cut back in the errors. And then you have someone, Miguel Rojas, who, yes, not the best offensive player out there, but he provides steady, good defense. And then you have the left side of the infield that looks pretty good with Brady House defensively there, and also Miguel Rojas. And then the right side of the infield, you have Abrams, who you'd expect to be better than Luis Garcia at second base, and whatever at first base, who knows what they do there at this point. But all of a sudden, your defense looks a lot better. I expect Daylen Lile to look a lot better next season in the outfield. I expect Dylan Cruz to be a Gold Glove candidate in center field. And I think James Wood is a stud out there defensively in left field. He's finally figured it out at Nationals Park. That kind of solves a lot of this team's issue with sloppy defense. Keep an eye out on that moving forward, because in my opinion, I think that could be the way forward for the Nationals. I'm not ready to quit on CJ Abrams. Again, I think some people might put him in a trade bucket this offseason. That's not going to be me. I would extend CJ Abrams tomorrow. But also, he's not my future shortstop at this point. There's too many errors. There's too many critical mistakes. I think he will work best at second base. And who knows, maybe in the outfield someday. That's kind of what I think along those defensive lines when it comes to Abrams. He's still a stud. He still would be an all-star player. But right now, he's not my all-star shortstop. And that's just, sucks to admit, but that's just what it is at this point in time. So let me know what you think about that big grand plan that I have come up with. And we'll see if the Nationals ultimately do decide to do that, as there would be a lot of moving parts to, again, what is going to be a loaded offseason for the Washington Nationals. So thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I will catch you guys on the flip side. You got the Braves and the Nats tonight. No playoff implications here, but it'll be some fun baseball down in hot Atlanta. So I will catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.